Hello and welcome to the X-Files Revisited. This is two X-Files fans, myself, Graham Davidson, and my co-host, Brian Lomax. And one of us is well versed in the X-Files legacy. The other one is not so much. That's me. And we are going to go episode by episode, season by season through the entire X-Files, and we're going to discuss at depth each individual episode. So this came about because we were both kind of interested in this subject. Brian, since you're the most knowledgeable X-fan here, why don't you give us a little bit of your history with the series?
Well, this was the biggest show for me. Back in the 90s, all the way through the 90s, there were two TV shows that just were like practically a religious obsession for me. And that was Batman the Animated Series and the X-Files. I lapped up everything X-Files. I bought books, magazines, radio cassette playthings, torchlights, just anything. If it had the X-Files logo on it, I would buy it. I was absolutely obsessed. Right up to when the movie came out, and it was just like I couldn't believe we were getting a movie. It blew my mind. I had a mega thing for Gillian Anderson, as did most guys my age at that time. I've always loved the show. Even, I will admit it's not perfect. Later years, it does have a bit of a slump, but I am what you call a diehard. I'm there till the end. If they keep putting episodes out, I'm going to be watching them, even though they're not as good as the glory days. But it's just for what this show did for sci-fi and genre television in general. I just don't think you can underestimate, because before this, it was pretty much Star Trek and Doctor Who. That was it for your sci-fi stuff. Other than that, you had old reruns of like Twilight Zone and things like that. But really, it was the X-Files that kicked off really the modern TV renaissance. You think of all the modern TV shows we have now, where we've come so far. Even Breaking Bad, shows like that. All the people who make those shows, Supernatural, it's all crew that came from the X-Files. They're all farmed out from the X-Files. When they left the X-Files, they went off and started their own shows. Vince Gilligan did Breaking Bad, so blah blah blah. That's it. It's just, I feel like X-Files doesn't get enough attention these days. I feel like it's almost been forgotten in many quarters, when in actual fact, you look at the TV landscape, and without X-Files, TV wouldn't be what it is today.
Yeah, it was a cultural phenomenon in the early 90s. I remember it being event TV, as in it was the kind of thing that you watched, and then the next day at school, it got talked about, and it kind of crossed all the little groups and factions that were in school, because everybody talked about the X-Files, and it was everywhere. Any talk show you checked out, you'd find these guys. It just hit all the amazing beats. It had kind of spooky elements, it had horror-centric elements. It's funny, endearing, and was just something that was a, like I said, cultural phenomenon. I loved it. You loved it. The only thing is I kind of phased out after a little bit of a while. I got to the movie. I think it changed from BBC onto Sky, and that's where I kind of lost where it was and where I was in the series, which was a shame. So for me, I'm not overly familiar with a lot of the later seasons. Maybe from 3 onwards, I'm a little bit hazy. The first 2 I recorded on VHS, if anybody remembers that, and I watched it repeatedly, so I'm kind of familiar with those. But as we move on into the later series, I'm excited, because a lot of it is going to feel like first time watches for me.
Yeah, I remember, just picking up on what you said, I remember when it went from the BBC to Sky One, and I was just, because we didn't have Sky Television at our house, right. And I was pulling my hair out. I was just like, and I made friends with this guy in my school. Not because I knew he had Sky One.
But I just pictured you walking through the neighborhood looking for a satellite dish. Just going like, that
yeah,
one.
But Paulo, this isn't the reason I became friends with him, but I became friends with him, and it just so happened that he had Sky, and I managed to somehow wangle my way into going around his house every week on that night, and it became a bit of a communal thing. We watched the X-Files together, and I don't think I've ever done that with a show before or since, to be honest. So yeah, definitely one that I fought tooth and nail to see every episode. Some regrettably so, and we will get into them because it's not, like I say, it does have its fair share of stinkers, but we will get to them when we get to them. So yeah.
So the format of this show is going to be that we are going to systematically talk about each scene, things that strike us as being odd or things that strike us as being exceptionally good, what we like, what we don't like, how we feel the overall episode is going to be. And at the end of that, we're going to give it a score out of 5. And at the end of each season, we are going to run down our top 5 favourite episodes of that season, and maybe some of the episodes that we really did not like will be mentioned as well. I think that's what we're going to settle on, isn't it, Brian, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's pretty simple format. It's something I've seen, or heard done on other podcasts, and it just seems the most sensible way to go. And I think, as a fan, that's kind of the format I enjoy listening to, hearing other fans go through each scene. And because I think when you do that, if you listen to people who do it in that way, they often pick out things and think about things in a way that you never did. So it will be interesting to see in what ways we agree with each other and in what ways we're going to clash. Which episodes? Because obviously I've seen them all. I know what to expect. I have a certain opinion already, which you will no doubt ask me before we go into them, and it will be interesting to see if my opinion matches yours. So yeah. It's one of the beautiful things about doing something in this way.
You're definitely going to be my ex-guide on this adventure, and we're kind of hoping that people out there are going to watch along with us, join in the conversation. We will have email addresses that you can contact us and let us know your thoughts, and maybe we'll read them out on the show. But I think this is going to be an exciting project and something that I'm really looking forward to getting into.
Absolutely. So obviously this is the introductory video, just to let you know what's cooking, what's coming. There is already a snippet of our first episode for the pilot episode of the series on YouTube. You can go and watch that snippet because we have obviously this YouTube channel if you're watching, but if you're listening, do head on over to the X-Files Revisited YouTube channel, give us a sub, share, like, all that kind of stuff, comment, give us reviews, all of that stuff. All that interaction really helps us to get seen. It will help other people find us. So yeah, that would be really great, just to talk with other X-Files fans and share opinions.
Absolutely. So there we have it. Thanks for joining us for our little intro, and we'll see you on the first episode.